Hello and good afternoon, everyone. It's Guy and Marco here for another Chorus webinar, and this week's episode will be on our new feature labels.
Yep.
So we'll be showing you how icons and text labels can be used as visual metadata tags in Chorus.
And we're quite excited about it too. It's a great feature that we recently put out, and we were all expecting and waiting for it to come out. So.
Yes, it's been something that we've had lots of feedback on over a period of time, so we're pleased to have got it into the product and look forward to showing you today. So on the left is Marco.
That's me, yes.
And obviously that delightful chap in the middle with glasses is me. Danny's not with us today. He's out seeing customers, but sends his regards. So what are we going to be talking about today? Well, obviously, we're doing the welcome at the moment, but we're going to give a good overview of what labels are and explain how they can be used straight away in Chorus, but also, as ever with metadata, how you can customize it to make it your own for your own use cases. I'm then going to jump into Chorus and do a demonstration. So the demonstration I'm going to work on today is really based around an approval process. There's three basic stages to it. So I've created some custom metadata to demonstrate that. And then I've built some smart collections which are catching those different stages. So I'll walk through all of that just as one use case example. And then, of course, as ever, with every episode, we'll have time for questions and answers too.
Yep, which is where I come back in online. Otherwise, it's just going to be Guy talking, which is...
Yeah, I can only apologise. The smooth, dulcet Italian tones will be silent for a few minutes. But when we get to questions, Marco will be taking any questions.
Yes.
And obviously, he's our product specialist, so the man to ask. So before we get going, just a quick reminder on our webinar series. We're going to have regular episodes throughout the year. These webinars, as in today, are focused on a key feature in Chorus, i.e. labels, and that involves guided demonstrations. And then, of course, we also have the Let's Talk Chorus sessions with Marco, delivering top tips, making the most of Chorus. And Danny and I really encourage you all to challenge Marco.
Yes.
With any questions when those episodes are on. And the next one will be on the 13th of February.
Yeah, so if you send your questions in advance, or obviously you can ask them throughout the question, but if you want to send something in advance, it could be even better, because then I can make it as a part of the top tips if you have top tips, or so like as a special feature. Hey, and this is what one of our customers asked us to show how to do.
So feel absolutely free to drop any questions in like that. So I'm going to jump into the demonstration now, and just before I really get going, I just wanted to spend a minute or two just talking about what labels are, giving you a bit of context around them. So labels are simply visual metadata tags. So rather than just embedding information in the file that you then have to go in and find to look at, we're going to be showing you how labels will give you that visual guide as to what that file is for. Why do we do this? Why did we think labels would be so useful? And it's, they can give you hints about what a file is for, what state it's in. So, for example, it's approved, it's not approved, work needs to be done, whatever your steps are, or literally just drawing attention to a file. The example I'll work around today involves, approving images for use across social media, so adding icons for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. But there are lots of use cases for this, and this is just one small example. So what type of labels are there? There are two. So there are text labels, i.e., things like approved, through to icon labels like Twitter, Facebook, etc. And a common question we've been asked since the introduction of label is, okay, well, this sounds great, but when should I use it? And as with a lot of things in Chorus, there are a number of ways to do things and a number of potential uses. So we're not going to insist on a particular use case to you, but they're absolutely brilliant for giving those extra hints about what a file is for. So
Yep.
if you imagine, as I jump into this folder on screen now.
Yeah, let's show them like a few examples, and hopefully examples will speak for themselves, but you can see sort of already, I think, on screen. Yeah.
So, here we can see clearly we've got a file type that's been added, but we've got, in terms of the labels, a text label of approved with a tick, and for Facebook, with a Facebook icon as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got to be approved, and I'll come back to this folder later because this is the sort of custom example that I've made for this webinar. But before we get to that, there's a few other things I'd just like to run through. So with labels, for all users, obviously, permissions are very important in Chorus. So for you to be able to actually tag images with labels, a user must have that edit permission. We are going to show you that there's a labels field, metadata field, that comes as standard with Chorus. So when you open Chorus for the first time, it is there.
Yeah. So in other words, you don't have to do anything to us. They're already there. You just have to look at them and try them.
Exactly. So we're going to show you shortly just, the standard labels field in Chorus.
Yes.
And what you can do with that. I will then sort of flick over slightly into this section where we're looking at that potential use case of approvals.
Yeah. Because you can build your own labels field, right? So it's very flexible in that sense.
And just like you can with other custom metadata fields, you can obviously have a controlled vocabulary. So if you don't want all of the icons, you can only have, a tick and a cross, for example.
That sounds very useful.
And, there are some other things. Obviously, we're going to show you how to physically tag with labels. But there's some other great use cases for them. And I'll just allude to that by taking a step back here, in that we can see there's a number of smart collections in this space. Smart collections are saved searches, which update according to your search conditions. So here I've set up 3 smart collections around my custom labels metadata. So I will show you that in detail later on. And as I say, today's use case is around approvals. I think some other potential use cases, just to give you some imaginative ideas. Potential for production stages, pre-production through to, I can't think of the right word, it's just left me now.
Shipping?
Prototype, shipping,
yeah.
so on. And the other great thing about, because it's a metadata field.
Yes, that's key actually, yeah.
So you can, as here, use facets to look for your labels. I had to put one with football just because, why not? But, approved, tick, Twitter, so on. So again, lots and lots of room. Couple of little things to bear in mind. You've only got so much room on the little label tab here. So if you can add as many as you want, but they won't all display.
Yeah.
And generally we would say, one word on the left, up to 2 or 3 icons on the right.
I think that goes back into the one should use a labels kind of field rather than keywords or other usual metadata fields. And one of the things to keep in mind is exactly the fact that limited real estate on your screen. But labels are important because they show up on screen, right? So you want to use them when they're relevant.
And another thing just to bear in mind, so we're going to show you the standard metadata field for labels in Chorus and the custom one we've worked on. But bear in mind that potentially in your organizations, perhaps your different teams, photography, design, marketing, they might all have their own individual use cases for labels, and they can all make their own customized labels fields.
Well, each individual in their private space, for example.
It's useful having a product specialist on these calls.
Yeah.
So, as I say, that's just a quick overview of what labels are and what we're going to be looking at. And I'm now just going to start by actually...
How do you make one? Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
How do you tag it? How do you make a spare field? Yeah, sure.
So I think to begin with, I'll just use any standard, one of the standard fields within Chorus. So I'll come into this food and packaging folder first. And as you can see, we've got a variety of icons here. Now, the standard labels field in Chorus has lots of icons included. So here I've highlighted the image, and you'll see on the right hand side in the action menu the labels icon, and I want to add labels here. So I'll just zoom in a little bit here to make it clear for you all. So when we talk about the standard labels metadata field, we're talking about this first one. And if I click on the smiley face, you can see a huge variety, if I scroll down, of different icons. Now, some of you might ask, well, why do we need all of these icons? What do they mean? And you know, as we were saying earlier, that's really up to you. You know, they can be interpreted in many different ways. I don't know about any of you. I have two nieces that basically speak in emoji these days. So I don't know if, you know, any of you have children or family members that do the same. But
everybody does. Like, there's no age restriction on emoji, I think.
or maybe it's just me that struggles with it then. But the point being that this is the standard field. So this is out of the box. All of these icons are available.
Yeah.
And then what I've done is create a custom labels field with its own vocabulary, which I'm going to open to show you for context. So I've added some text icons, and I've built a library of...
to sort of reduce the options to
yes.
focus a little bit.
So, and we're talking about potentially going into approval. So, you know, tick, exclamation mark, the social media channels. So, and as I say, just the flexibility of using it as it comes or creating your own. And for example, if you're working on a project for the new brochure or a campaign, you can tag your images with that, so that when you come into an area of the site, you can just see at a glance that you're looking at things that, you know, are for that particular project.
Right.
So as an example for this particular image, and it's just like keywords anywhere in Chorus. So I'm pressing return. That now adds the keyword. I'm going to add, what else I might just add?
Can you add one from the custom labels to show that you can do?
Yeah.
So just to show, not even adding, just to show that in this case, see, you don't have the whole list, which can be a bit unwieldy, but just a couple of rows that you handpicked. You don't have to add it, just to show. But that kind of exemplifies your case, the one you built.
So that's one thing. So just adding, you know, as I say, highlighting an image and then going to press the labels button. So a couple of other things I just wanted to show you very quickly about other places you will see labels in Chorus, because there's three. Obviously, we're looking at one here, the thumbnail of the image. When you open up that image into the view console, as ever, on the metadata tab, as you can see here, we can see what labels there are. And if I jump to the edit metadata tab, you can see that I could remove or add. I'm not going to do that here, but those are the three places you will see labels in Chorus. So that's really just an overview of the basic, simple labels field in Chorus. And now I'd like to just flick across into, you know, the example we've created here. So as we just showed you, we've built a separate vocabulary in this space. So just for a quick overview of that, I'm going to manage the space. And as you can see here, this is the approved labels metadata field that we created. And on the basics panel, this is the standard labels field.
How do you create a labels field in case they want it?
Well, shall we do that quickly?
Just show the process. You don't have to build.
I'll do a quick overview of this.
Yeah.
So you would begin in the metadata catalog. Now you could do that at the site level, which is what I did for this example, or create the panel at the space level. And here is where I've created this customs label panel. And if I go into it, that's where, if you do it from the site level, sorry, that's my mistake there. Let's just jump up to site level quickly. because
It's important to note, I think, that labels is just a kind of display type you mentioned earlier in the call. So it's just another piece of metadata. It's just the way it's displayed and the way it's inputted that changes, and it's unique to this kind of metadata.
So, you know, as you say, I've just as a quick overview. So you create the custom field. I called it custom labels. I set it to labels.
Yeah.
And then that's where you build the vocabulary to reduce or edit the amount of options you have available.
And if you don't put any vocabulary, you get all the icons.
Yeah, and it would just revert to the normal one.
So you don't have to have the manual, which is good, because otherwise 151 of them, there will be quite a lot of clicking.
Yeah, and we're trying to make your life easier. So just a couple of examples here. So here's one image. Now I'm just going to add a couple of labels to different images. And here, as you see, I've typed in A, and because it knows that there is only a limited amount of choice in that vocabulary, it knows that it's approved. So I will tick approved, and there it is. As ever, you'd be shocked to hear it's a miserable grey day in England. So let's look at a nice sunny picture here. But again, I could add an icon.
A smiley face?
Well, I'm going to be approved. I haven't asked for my holiday yet. So.
All right. We haven't approved your holidays in the Caribbean yet.
Not yet. All paid for it, sadly. So, just as a quick example of how easy it is to tag an image with your custom metadata fields.
Yes.
And again, I'm going to now do it just with icons. So, you know, as in this has been approved with a tick, and it's been posted to Facebook, and it's been posted to Twitter.
Yeah, it's, even though tagging pictures in Chorus is already fast, I'd say, with all the tools you have, this is even faster and very, very quick to do at a glance.
So let's just think of another couple of things. So you've come into this folder, there's loads of images in this folder, and you're very busy, and you think, right, I just want to look at the custom label field for the facets. So here, by clicking on approved, instantly you can see with the breadcrumbs here, custom labels approved. We've got all of the approved images that way. Now that's one way to quickly check things. I think another thing I'd just like to take a step back on is that we've got this process in place of approved, to be approved, and I've even got one for edit required. So as in, you know, I check this image and I think perhaps it needs some touching up or changing in some way. Another one here, edit required. So if I come back out into that space, here are 3 smart collections. So I'm going to just walk through what I've done here. So I've created a smart collection and called it approved for social. And in the search conditions, so because I've created the metadata field, custom labels, that then enables me to set that I want to search for custom labels, which is approved. Now that is a smart collection which will continue to update according to that search condition. So here are all of the approved images in the site currently. So we've got 9 in total. I've got a bit of an issue with odd numbers, so let's make that nice and even. So if I jump on this image and add the label approved, like so, come back out, now we've got that nice round 10 number. So that smart collection will continually, so every time anyone in the site tags approved, it will automatically get added to that smart collection. Now, if you're managing an area of the site, that's really useful. If you need to approve things, again, here's a smart collection for the to be approved tag. That one I've put in myself, so that shouldn't be there. but the to be approved are all showing there. So again, if it's a case of one of your parts of your role is to check and make sure things are being approved so they can be shared or published or whatever your use case is, great way, rather than having to jump around and look for things all the time, to know that once they're tagged correctly, they will appear in your smart collection. And going back to the photographer space, we've also got this edit required smart collection, exactly the same thing, whereby say I have decreed to someone that actually I'd like these photos changed. So therefore, really simple way to build a process of stages, whether that be for approvals like we've been talking about, perhaps for a production, manufacturing things. So really, really useful overview.
Yeah.
And we'll be very happy, to take any questions now that you have.
Yeah.
If you look in the console for the Go to webinar today, you'll notice there's actually a handout, a labels PDF, and that's just a little 3-point PDF highlighting, what labels are and for your reference.
Yeah.
Obviously, there'll be a copy of this recording coming in due course tomorrow. And I'm going to be quiet now because Marco's going to take over and handle the questions. So thanks for watching the demo, and I'll pass back over to Marco to take your questions.
Right, you can send me the screen too and have a look at questions. Yeah, that was a great demo. Again, we're very, very excited about labels. So hopefully you already have some ideas in your head. Also, if you've been using labels already, or if you have now some ideas, can you see my screen? I believe they can, right?
Yeah, 1 sec. I just need to change.
Obviously, it doesn't have to be a question. You can just send us a message on the question box to tell us how you're using labels already, or how you're now planning, now that you were inspired by Guy, on how you plan to use labels, so that I can maybe show that on the screen. Otherwise, there's obviously some ideas and things we can do. I think you're seeing my screen now. Yeah, definitely. You can definitely see my screen now. Perfect. Now, if I can minimize this for myself. Okay, perfect. Hopefully you can also hear me. Please do, if I went completely quiet, please don't put a question there. Is there anything already before they complain that they can't hear me?
Yeah, so there's one around what could labels be used in other creative ways? Can you give us some other examples?
Yes, I was hoping for this question, actually. It's because there's so much you can do with labels. And actually, you may be thinking, why is there 151 icons? What am I going to do with all of these, right? Well, I'll tell you what you're going to do with all this. There's a very good reason why. Because a few of these are obvious, right? I'm inside now, Leonard's, different user for the same site, private space. And if I look at the labels, let's look at the list for a moment. Some are very obvious. Frowny and smiley face, thumbs up and down, tick, all the social media, some numbers there. And then as you scroll down, they become more and more abstract, all the way out down to poopy emoji, which is a very vital one.
Be careful about using that.
Yeah, you want to be careful with that one, exactly. But everything else is fine. It's a smiley poop emoji. I think it's cool. I think it's safe for everyone. The reason there's so many non-descriptive one, non-prescriptive one, like obviously LinkedIn, you can use it for what you want, but it's probably going to be best used for signaling this has gone on LinkedIn already, or is meant to go on LinkedIn, or something like that. Because then you can use them for literally anything. Now, actual example. Let's look at Leonard here. He has made I created this earlier, a smart collection that looks for all the pictures of coffee on the side, right? Just a quick way for me to get a lot of pictures and a couple derivatives in as well. Now, let's say that you now need to make a very quick selection on what kind of pictures you need for a project without having to go in and check the pictures one by one and then tab in and add the whatever metadata you was going to use. Having big thumbnails in chorus helps you very much with quick selection like this one. You can also make it a bit bigger. You don't really need to go full screen if you kind of know what you're looking for. So it's very, very quick for Leonard to just do this, this, and this, or this two, for example, add a label. And then what he's going to do is he's not going to use a happy face, because somebody else on the site may be using it for something else. Or it won't be it won't be using Facebook or Twitter, because again, this may be used by other people in the wrong processes, right? It's reasonable, and also it could be misleading. Like it tags as LinkedIn when it means my favorite pictures. There's something missed there. There's something lost in that sort of decision. So what you can do is you can say, well, I don't know, I really like pizza. So that's going to be which is probably says more about me than about Leonard. And he can just use the pizza as a label, which it's unlikely to be used in an official process, because unless you're selling pizza, which could be. I don't think any of our customer is, but eventually we may get one. And obviously, you can obviously make it known to people, pizza is my icon. So that's a reason why you have all these icons, and also another way of, see, now he has little pizzas in there, and you can do all the things Guy showed you, like other smart collections or facets, etc. And this is a good way, as long as he lets everybody know, like, the pizza ones are mine, don't touch them, like don't use the pizza for yourself. And that can also be a case where me and Guy maybe are looking at the same folder, and we have to pick, like, there's 20 folders we need to edit, I'll do 10, you'll do 10, pick the ones you want. We can just tell to each other, okay, you the leaf, I'm the squirrel, or whatever. It's going to be just random. And it's quick for us to just pick those pictures. We don't get in the way of anybody else. And yeah, it's very fast.
And I think, bear in mind as well, guys, that it's that visual thing of,
yes,
you go onto a page, and as Marco just demonstrated, rather than clicking into the view console and the metadata tab or the edit metadata tab, instantly you get a feel for what it's for, what via the visual tag, whether
yes,
that be the icon or a mixture of the text icons as well.
That is absolutely true. That's exactly the power. Core is a visual tool for visual people, I like to say, but for everyone really, not just visual people. But it really is a visual tool. And labels are another way for you to do things faster, more practically, more efficiently. And yeah.
And there was, something we want to start to introduce to these sessions. Appreciate for some of you, you're not using Chorus yet, some of you will be. But we'd love to hear from any of you, whether now or in due course after today's webinar, just in terms of, are you using labels? If so, what is your use case? How are you using them? Because I think for us, we've given you a small window into the capabilities of what they can do, but it would just be fascinating as ever to hear customer feedback from anyone.
Yeah, and obviously hear ideas. We can only come up with so many ideas, right?
So we just had a quick question. So should we only add labels to images that have already been added to a smart collection?
Oh no, absolutely. But it's a potential case.
If we add them to ones in smart collections, does it then affect the higher level or original image?
Right, yes. So that is true. So if you do it from a smart collection, this is just a practical example of it. Let's go to the original. As you know, if you click on a file from a smart collection, you can click on Show Original to get to the actual folder. You are, in fact, tagging the original file. So, you may want to remove it later once you finish, potentially. Smart collection is just a way for you to sort of like have a two-level situation, especially if it's like a private label you're adding. But you could use it from within a folder, from within a collection, a smart collection. There's all kinds of containers and cores, as you know. Good question. And yeah, the answer is you don't have to. You can do it from anything, anywhere. But yeah, remember that if you're editing from a smart collection, you're editing the file. Now, remember that you do have derivatives. So if you're editing a derivative, you're not editing the original file. And the difference there is that derivative is a separate version of a file that doesn't take up extra space. We have a folder here with, say, low resolution versions of, we actually added a label as well for that, of a bunch of pictures from different folders. If I were to add a label on this one, it wouldn't travel up to the original, but it does travel down, so it keeps all the metadata of the original.
Right, I reckon we've got 1 minute left, Marco, and I reckon we can just about squeeze this question in. So we've had a question saying, I've been using labels to mark which photos have been used in print on our website out of the entire library. Is there a way to make a note on an image, e.g. a link to the URL where the image is used.
Yeah.
You could add it as a custom.
Yes, I would say the best way for you to do it, considering that it's not the kind. This is maybe a good example of what you would put in a label and what you wouldn't put in a label. So that exact information, metadata is information, right? That's exactly what metadata is. I could tell you about the Greek origin of the name, but I won't.
We don't have the time, Mark. I'm terribly sorry.
So a link is an information you want to have on a file, but doesn't really need to be displayed on a preview. So that's where I would personally suggest that you create a separate field. It could be like a text field, for example, because again, it needs to really just be custom text. And you could do it from the site level, for example, again, or from the space level. And there you could say, let's do it very quickly just to show you, build a field, call it link. We may actually have one already on this one. I think that, yeah, there's already one link posted. I don't know. And I would consider text to be the best option. And you can build a field that way where you can just copy paste the information in each image so that once you're in, you go to the metadata tab and find it. It's the kind of information that if you need it, you go there. You don't want to have it at the forefront. So that's where I would put it.
And on that note, time is up this week. So for any of you that have got any queries on labels or anything else course related, please get in touch and let us know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the questions today and the sound check earlier. Appreciated the test there. So we'll let you get back to your days. We'll see you on the 13th for the next episode of Let's Talk Chorus.
Yeah, with some tips.
Marco's top tips.
Any question we didn't get around answering as well, we'll reach out via email today or tomorrow.
And yeah, recording of this session will come out to you tomorrow, everyone. So yeah, thanks again. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye.